In Wendell Berry's collection of poems, there's one where he writes about our barbarous ancestors and wonders aloud what it is that makes us think that we are superior to them. He says we write history by collecting words, scraps of paper, sprawls of junk, and we try to arrange it all into some kind of coherent story, but suggests that we may actually miss the very goodness and the very worst of those times. And yet he encourages us to, as he says, make a story. Show how love and joy, beauty and goodness shine out amongst the rubble. What story shall we write about this time in our own lives, in our own history? I just finished reading the novel American Dirt, a very moving account of a Mexican woman whose husband was a journalist and wrote about one of the cartels. The cartel's response was to murder the whole family at a birthday party for a 15-year-old. Only this woman and her 8-year-old son survived and escaped. And the story is of their harrowing journey north to the United States, to a place of safety, a place where the cartel cannot reach. All along the way, their terrible grief stalks them. All along the way, there are people that they have to be suspicious of, people who rob them, people who rape others who are with them. And yet there's also unimaginable kindness that they encounter along the way. They discover within themselves things they didn't know they had, physical capacities, emotional strength, even spiritual strength. What the cartel did was to rip their lives apart, but what they did in response helped shape who they are. History shows us that pandemics can change a whole society. While this virus conspires to make us feel helpless, and I have to say that as someone who is in the age group that's supposed to be at high risk, it can make you feel sometimes like you're just in a hospice waiting room, passively waiting for your name to be called. I want to say we are not helpless. We get to write the story of how love and joy and goodness and beauty shine out. Dream with me about the kind of world we want. Notice the things that are all about us even now that we want to take with us into the new time. I think of the world-renowned singer singing Amazing Grace alone in the plaza in Italy, singing it to all the world. And even more, I think of the exhausted nurse singing Amazing Grace to a hospital room full of her exhausted and fearful co-workers. I think of the courage of that woman, and I want that in the future as well. I want to take this amazing grace into the world. But to the beauty and goodness, the words that Wendell Berry wrote, I also want to add justice and truth, a world where those are honored. And there's a lot of hard work to be done to build a society where that is so. 100 years ago, Harry Emerson Fosdick wrote from Riverside Church in New York. He said, "Nobody finds life worth living. You take hold of it with both hands and you make it that way." He's writing of deciding our purpose and our intent and of the hard work to make that come to pass. So far from sitting in a hospice waiting room passively listening for our names, let us imagine the story that we write of these days, a story that shows how love and joy, beauty and goodness shine out amongst the rubble. Amen.